Well, during the course of the week, what I really preached to the kids was, to play the game the way it needs to get played. Doesn't matter what your opponent is, respect all, fear none. Get them to nerves them to play, a four-quarter game no matter who was in there. And that's probably the biggest thing I could take out of this. I really thought, after the game got out of hand a little bit scoring-wise, and we started rolling people through in all phases, offense, defense, and special teams, they continue to play really clean. Obviously, you get a little nervous at halftime about injuries to key guys if they continue to play, so we pulled out a number of our guys at halftime. Offensive coaches really wanted to keep rhythm. That's why the #1 offensive line and Johnny started with Budmeyer, just to give him a chance to get into the game without having reserves all over him. And I believe we maybe had one, maybe two penalties, so I thought they handled that game, that side of it very well as well. So moving forward, I'll just injury-wise, David and Nick obviously didn't go today, but it looks like they're going to be able to go next week. Should be able to practice tomorrow with us and be back in it. The reason Casey Dean started at right tackle was he practiced there all week. Ricky had a little shoulder issue that he wasn't allowed to, or wasn't cleared to play until basically Friday, and got in there today. And Josh has been harping on me for 2 weeks now. He's ready to go, but just didn't feel he's at 100%. So those guys will be able to get back out there and move forward. With that, let's open up for questions.
Talk about the play of James White, obviously.
I didn't know he had 4 touchdowns. I couldn't figure out why he was on the radio show. I know he had a big day, but I know whoever I handed the earmuffs on after the game usually is a pretty good player. I was excited because we thought that first 3rd and short, there was a chance he was going to get that play around the edge. And when we called it, I go watch him go, and it's exactly what happened. James is a very gifted football player with great speed, and again, because he's not out there every down, he comes in with those fresh legs, and it really benefits everybody.
How big is the grain of salt you use to measure this game and how your players played? 70-3,
Yeah,
an opponent obviously overmatched.
Yeah, well, during the course of the preparation, during the week, our guys watch the film and they understand that they should be able to go out and execute things, but bottom line, they did it. Everybody's drinking the same Kool-Aid. I think everybody's buying into what we do around here will have success. If you go out and ask and do the things we ask you to do, there was no doubt in my preparation they handled the week pretty well. I really liked the way they approached the game today. When the starters came out, they were on the sidelines encouraging the twos how to play the game and giving them critiques and helping them out a lot. I know everybody's got their own opinion on schedules. This was a game that we were very, very banged up at a lot of positions that we were able to rest today. It comes a critical point in the season now moving forward in the Big Ten play.
Do you make it a crapshoot when you schedule these
No, it's not a crapshoot, Tom. I love your articles because you've got opinion that you want to go down the road with. But this is the game that came up, and it's obviously a very well placed game in our schedule because it now allows us to enter Big Ten play.
How ready is this team for Big Ten play?
I think they're excited. What we'll do tomorrow is we'll start our preparation on Michigan State, and the thing we'll focus in on is first off, what do we have in our agenda to get ready for them. We've played them now on Coach Dan Antonio's teams. We've got a couple games under our belt with his staff that we know what we've had success with in the past and what we haven't, and that's the part we need to address first with our players is what is the game plan for us to have success before we even start talking about what Michigan State's going to do to us.
What's the future for a kid like Garner today, offense and defense?
Oh, Manessa. When Chris went down, we basically tried to think of guys defensively who might be able to give us some pass rush that aren't currently out there. And I just threw it out there, because Manessa we've seen do things on film and high school film, and he's so athletic. In the first day, I grabbed him out of individuals on Tuesday and gave him to Kevin Kane. The part that you could see right away is he's got great instincts pass rush wise, and did some things during practice and got the kids' reactions. So it started being one of those things. I'd yell Manessa and everybody'd yell Manessa, and all of a sudden he comes running down. He'd play one play and then he'd run back down to offense. So again, he's an energy kid that hopefully he's going to be able to give us more. As he played rush in all of 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Kind of shined it up on Thursday, and we went with it today.
Did you make a point of giving Budmeyer some throws today instead of just playing them?
I think, Tom, what we tried to say at halftime is let's get John in there as a game is real. Let's get him in there with the #1 offensive line and get him to get in the groove of what we do here, and that's exactly what he did. And I thought he handled it very well. I don't know what his stats were, but did they have an incomplete? There was great execution. Of course, I just worry about the snap. the first time, and Jay Curran did a nice job popping in there too, so it was fun.
On returns, you had Aberdaris in there. Did you take a look at Henry because Aberdaris muffed the two, or do you just?
Well, Aaron's been pleading with me for 3 years, sir, yes, sir, please, let me get in there, I'm punt returning. And he stays after practice every day, and really after David went down, Dell Alexander, who works with the returners, thought Aaron was probably the most secure in catching the football. And then that's what we started doing there at the end, just, fair catch to get out of it. But that first one, I gave him the green light. I said, hey, we're gonna have a middle return on, and he put a nice little move on and had a smile from ear to ear. And sometimes, as you guys know, when you have a player that has a play like that, it can catapult him, in his own defensive plays as well as safety.
Along those lines, the hit he got on the tight end in the first half, do you see that helping?
I do. He's kind of had a hit in every ball game. And that stuff shows up on film. And you take a look at last week's game against Arizona State, I thought his hit jarred it out, but in reality, the ball was out before Aaron hit him. And, he had a hit in the other games, and maybe those receivers are starting to think about where 7 is and making a statement on film.
You said that it was a rhythm issue, wanting to put John out there when John Budmeyer came on, John Clay putting him in the backfield. How much, at the same time, how conscious are you of what his numbers are? He was close to 100 yards. Did that factor into
Who, Johnny Clay?
John Clay, did that factor in at all?
Yeah, I asked where he was at half, but I did want to get our number one offense out there. So when I heard I think it was 85 or 87, I'm like, let's just get in the flow of the first half, get a couple first downs, and see where it goes. I see, I'm watching ESPN last night, and I see it go across the bottom of the ticker, but that's where you got to be observant. I mean, don't put your head in the sand, but on the same account, I don't ever want to adjust the game for a person's numbers or anything like that. But John works very hard. In part, I'm sure some of you saw it. He got done. He went over to the bike for the rest of that quarter with his mouthpiece in. So hopefully that continue to make him as a conditioned football player.
Budmeyer used the line a little bit with that performance.
Yeah,
as far as a backup quarterback.
But John's been pretty steady in the recruiting process. Now he's been here for a couple of years. John's a pretty steady guy. He's a man of great faith. Christian faith is very important to him, and he's just got that calmness to him that the quarterback needs to have, and it does make you feel better to see him handle the snaps and handle the line of scrimmage the way he did.
Against a team that's not as big or as fast, does it make it easier to kind of slow things down and drill technique kind of in a game?
It's pretty good players too. I get where you're coming from. Our roster is a little bit different from theirs, but again, it's more about what we do. I don't really ever talk about what we're going against from that standpoint, but if we can control the game by forcing our way of play on people, that's what makes it clean.
Do you think Ball looked more assertive today?
He did. You probably noticed James went in the game second, and I guess you made a point of it, Jeff, in the press conference. I mean, those running backs know the rotation, and Monty had maybe been a little sluggish, but he went in there today and did a nice job. I thought he caught the ball real nice again, and Monty's a very talented football player as well, and they all want their carries.
Do you think players can get a false sense of security coming out of a game like this, going into Big Ten where it gets tougher?
I don't think so. I totally get it, but I know that they felt they want to play the way that we did today to get ready for Big Ten play. I don't think they're going to think they're anything special just because of that. If not, we'll humble them into reality pretty quick.
Norton didn't have any chances, so is he continuing to hit the ball the way you need?
I realized I didn't want to throw the ball because I didn't want to stop the clock. So we knew that if we didn't get a first down, we're going to be punting. And to end the game the way he did just gives him a lot of confidence. And he's been turning the ball over very, very well. Brad, to this day, of any punters I've seen in the recruiting process, has had as strong as leg as anybody. And to see him do that today was very, very nice.
There weren't many kickoff opportunities, but the ones that they did have, you covered, seemed like a little bit better this week. Any changes there?
Well, there was changes in personnel, and plus we got a look at a couple of. You might have seen Cody Ring-Noonan pop in there. He's a walk-on, has never played, and got his first couple. He's been doing a great job on scout team for us, so we popped him in there, and that's what you need to find. You need to find the guys that are going to do it every play.
How would you assess Scott Tolzien? We're
Scott?
halfway through a press conference and not talking about your starting quarterback at all, but he seemed to have a pretty good rhythm.
Scott's kind of one of those guys that he's probably playing well when he gets unnoticed. When he's doing things the way he is supposed to be doing, when our offense is functioning the way it did, he's so efficient. He does a great job of controlling the game, and I know as a senior, he's playing his best football right now, probably the last couple of games, and really does a good job during the course of the week. And Scott will get better as the season goes along because he's going to be able to pick up tendencies and traits and reads and keys off of teams now as they play games. Now we're going to Michigan State. They've got 4 games, we got 4 games. And, they've had some opponents where it's been 4-quarter games just like we have, and you can get things off of film, and that makes Scott an even better player.
In your mind, how much mystery is still left in this team? Because you've had some pretty important people not play here because of
Yeah.
injury down.
Well,
the
you know, I'm sure you guys
non-conference.
saw Nick took part in pregame, and I wanted him to get out there and throw it. Now, I didn't let him go to the hotel, because I don't want our players sitting around and seeing Nick at dinner and thinking he's gonna be there tomorrow. It's kind of a weird way to think, I guess, but, when the game happened out there today, I wanted the Nick get back in the flow of catching the pass and doing the things he needs to do, and, you're right, we haven't been at full strength, yet. It really in all phases, offense, defense, special teams, but we should get back to being healthy this week and move forward.
Brady Ewing with 2 touchdowns, and do you see him becoming more involved
Who's that?
off of Brady Ewing, off a performance like this?
Well,
Or is that more or less just kind of a carrot there to say, you know, hang in there?
No, we don't give out any carrots, but I do think, you know, Brady's a guy grinning from here. One of my, Mark Torresoni, my operations said, you know, when Brady got in the end zone, the whole sideline was smiling. It's just because that's the kind of person he is. He's well respected by everybody, and there were, you know, the inside belly play was something that hadn't really shown yet this year, so I think that caught him a little off guard. Good to get that on film, and I think it was just kind of the way the offense happened. Again, we don't set things up to give people stats or anything like that. We just kind of go with what happens.
Will Gardner continue to play both ways?
Who?
Gardner, Gardner?
He did today. You know, I know as a coach, you gotta understand you can only, you know, put so much on a freshman, but he literally has about 4 or 5 calls, and they're on his armband there, and they're literally diagrammed. That's not reading what he's supposed to do, that's showing him what he's supposed to do. You know, as he gets more and more experience, we could probably expand that a little more.
As far as punt return and right tackle, does David return as your punt returner, do you open it up, and what about right tackle?
Really, it'll be this week how he handles things. And again, he hasn't been 100% cleared yet. He practiced last week with a green jersey, so once he gets clearance to go full contact, we'll talk about that.
What about right tackle?
Again, I'll probably defer to, you know, what we find out what everybody's status is, because Josh wasn't cleared technically, and Ricky got cleared, but we didn't see him until today.
As a whole, how do you feel about how your team handles the non-conference slates?
Well, we're 4-0. You know, I told our team in the locker room, you know, that when I first looked at the schedule, I saw, you know, obviously I knew we were gonna have 12 games, but I saw the 4 non-conference, which hasn't always happened here. You know, last year we played at the end of the year at Hawaii, we played Cal Poly at the end of the year, and it kind of had been different a couple times, but we had the 4 non-conference up front. Now we go into a 4-week conference schedule, then we have a bye week, then we have another 4-week conference schedule. So things kind of lay out in these 3 different quadrants, and to get out unscathed as far as, you know, all the rights, all the games in the win column have been good, but we got to get healthy, and, you know, we need to get better tomorrow. And I've really stressed that to our guys. There's no day more important than tomorrow. I mean, we live tomorrow and get ready for Monday, and I think the guys buy into that, and I'm happy to keep moving forward with it.
If you're putting together a list of guys who made huge strides during these 4 games and benefited the most, where would James White be?
He'd be up there, because he can help us in a lot of different phases, and I think he can be a good kick returner. He's great for us on, you know, 3rd down and being able to run and catch, and just some of the tribulations he's had, you know, the fumble in the end zone, I think was a big one. You know, he missed that first hit on Scotty today, I think was, the sack, I think was a bust by James, you know, so he had to go through those things, and the only way you go through them is to live them, and those are the things that make you stronger in the end. And he's just, you know, he was so well coached from St. Thomas Aquinas to come here. That's what's probably accelerated his curve that much more, is he's been around good coaches before, and now can kind of move forward. And I'm gonna tell you, his 2 hardest critics are his mom and his dad. They're the one that are on him the hardest.
Anything else for Coach?